Good evening, everybody. And welcome again to a Lyceum night here at Paul Church on the south coast of the UK. We were going to show a pre-recorded Lyceum tonight because I was actually going to be away most of the day. However, that all changed at the last minute, so I thought, oh well, I can hop in and say hello and just have a talk. So just waiting for a few people to join us, excuse me. And somebody, funnily enough, tonight's all about communication, and somebody is telling me that they want to go out. Bear with me. I'll be quiet. Right, that's the livestock attended to. Hello, Phil, how are you? So, yes, topic of tonight's conversation is about communication. Because it always strikes me as funny in the spiritualism movement. But we're all about our evidential communication. Hello, Gail, welcome. And that's a big fundamental, big basis of our movement. And yet I do find that within our movement, we tend to see areas for improvement with communication, and also how we communicate what spiritualism is to those people who are earnestly seeking knowledge, information, understanding. Hello, Gail. Hello, Phil. Marion. Hello, darling. So it just interests me how sometimes for a philosophy and a religion that is based on one of the fundamentals of communication, sometimes there's areas that we probably could look at and maybe work on a bit, and including myself, constant review we do. What was it about? A memory came up on Facebook. Hello, Jax. And it was about a trip that I did to Inverness a little while back. And it just reminded me, it prompted me. When I was in Inverness, I had a little wander around. Beautiful, beautiful city. Hello, Eva. Absolutely stunning place. And the energy as well is just... Every time I go up to Scotland on the train, when I start hitting the borders, I can feel my spirits start to soar. I'll look into it one day, why that happened. Anyway, back to the story. Having a walk around Inverness, and there's a cathedral there right on the banks of the Ness River. Beautiful, beautiful. And I walked up because I like to go into old churches wherever I am to have a little mooch around. Hello, lovely Lynn, loving the red hair. I went to have a little walk in, and there was a lovely old gentleman by the door there, and very friendly, very, oh, hello, nice to see you. And, that Scottish accent just, it's beautiful. You just want people to talk to you because of the accent. Welcome me in. He said, well, we've got a service on in about 25 minutes, and if you like to sit in with it, you're more than welcome. And I thought, oh, okay, yeah, we can do that. And it's Scottish Episcopal Church, and the service was in one of the little side chapels, not in the main body of the church, but in the side chapel there. I think it's called the Ladies' Chapel or something. But anyway, went in there, sat down, the minister taking the service, was going around talking to people, chatting away, nice greeting and welcome, and then did the service. And one thing I noticed there, for a really proper, what I call old high church, number one, there was the camera on the rostrum, so their services are being streamed out for everybody and anybody in the locale. And the whole process was just wonderful. I was really privileged to be a part of it. And in fact, the address, I was listening to it quite intently, or the address, or I'm not sure of the terminology they use. I thought, you know what, if I'd heard that from one of our demonstrators delivered as the address, I would have really, really enjoyed it. It was beautiful. But the whole, what I'm getting at here was that communication that was going on. You know, from the word go, you're welcomed, you're invited in. The only place, and you get this with all orthodoxy, is when they do the responses as part of the service, well, not understanding at all what it was. Suddenly everybody was talking and you were like, what am I meant to say? What am I meant to say? But apart from that, it was absolutely wonderful. You know, and I turn the page over there and I look sometimes as a working medium. And I can relay honestly and earnestly. You know, you go to some of our churches and centres and you get beautiful welcome, absolutely lovely. And I have this conversation quite often with some of our demonstrators, that you go in, you're welcomed in, you're made to feel welcome, you're offered a cup of tea or something. There was one centre about 50 miles away from here. Whenever I served their church, they'd always do me up a little picnic to take back on the train. I used to love that. I mean, it's just such a silly little thing, but it creates this atmosphere. It creates this welcome and inclusion, to coin a modern day terminology, that, you know, you are a valued guest, you are welcome. But then when we look at communication again between ourselves as spiritualists, and I will focus on spiritualists demonstrating evidential mediums. Yeah, I trained under my last circle leader, was a lovely lady, Margaret Clawton, and she was a very strong Yorkshire lass. Now, for those of you outside of the UK, different regions have different traits. And the further up north you go, they tend to be more direct speaking. And I appreciate it. That's great. You know, because they do a direct speech, but it's not put over in the attitude of, well, I'm saying this and it's right. They just say things as they are. And Margaret had, bless her, yes, all right. Margaret had a bit of a reputation for being a bit of a tyrant. She's just said that's not a nice word, but a bit hard. But you know what? One of the finest teachers. I'm absolutely privileged to have studied under her. Why am I here? Why am I talking about Margaret? Yes, and she used to relay stories about what we lovingly call the old school mediums. And that was the generation of mediums that was formed in the 40s, 50s, 60s era of the movement. And there was this great rapport amongst them, you know. And one thing which I found fascinating, absolutely fascinating, was quite often, I know the mediums of this area, we had probably about 7 or 8 little churches and sanctuaries in the area where people had built an extension onto their home. There was one, it was, I don't know if you know, the old-fashioned lean-to that ran the length of the building. So you could only seat about 8 or 10 people in there. But that was, what was that? The Silver Ray. Bessie Cross used to run that. But this rapport and this kinship that the mediums had with each other was quite exceptional, I think. Because there would be not an element of competition, but there was this element of, you know, if one person's circle was demonstrating, the other circle leaders would go along to see how they're doing, swap ideas, get information. And that was all created by talking with each other. They would go out for nights out together. they would sit in circle together, which I think is awesome, absolutely awesome, because they had this great rapport with each other. And yet, wasn't always a bed of roses. There were falling outs, as you get within any family. But I look at today's aspect of the movement, and I'm just seeing areas which intrigue me. And please chime in with any comments or anything or observations that you have yourself. Please don't name individuals or organisations. We only do that if they are there to say their side of it on this show. But that energy of actually realising you're all working for the same boss. You're all taking different avenues to the same goal. And it wasn't about the demonstrator. You know, I know with social media, I'm seeing some people proudly saying that they've had 1, 2, even 3,000 comments on a demonstration they've done. But actually, when you analyse all these comments, 99% of them are not interactions. They are just, you know, heart, heart, star, star, flower, flower. Have you got anything for me? So it's not a real interaction in my book. Nights like this are great, absolutely great, because we can actually talk, we can actually express our opinions, we can actually disagree without falling out. And that seems to be an art lost within our movement. Again, on the communication theme of how do we communicate with people who are new to our movement, who are new to our churches. You know, it's often said up and down the land, we've got to get more people in our church or centre. And I just think sometimes, well, actually, if you analyse that statement, there is the potential there for being a bit, can't think of the right word, but you're saying not only to people who probably won't hear it because they're not in your church or centre, but more importantly, you're saying it to yourself. And this is where the communication thing comes in. What are we telling ourselves? You know, and sit there, oh, we've got to get more people in the church. We've got to get more people come to our centre. We've got to get more people to come and do this. We've got to get more people. Actually, if you analyse that and think about it, why don't we start bringing in the energy of actually saying, well, instead of us sitting here waiting for people to come to us, why don't we look at ways of engaging with people outside of the doors of the church? You know, recently we had a stall at the Holistic Health Festival over in Paul Arts Centre. Now, those of you who know me know that MBS fairs and all that are not my thing. They just don't appeal to me. And there's nothing wrong with them. They're just not in my energy. They're just not there. And somebody said, well, why did you do that one? And I thought, actually, that's a really good question. Why did I do that one? Because it was to go out and just engage with people. You know, I'd say if we were selling a product, if we went over there with 100 bracelets and came back with 20, we could go, oh, great, well, we sold 80. It's slightly more difficult to gauge because you're not selling an object, you're not selling a material thing, you're selling a concept, an idea. So it's difficult to gauge the reaction. Actually, on the last Sunday, we had 3 people first time in the church because we had met them at that holistic fair and they wanted to know more, which was really, you know, that was really encouraging. So, you know, this communication thing, not only have we got to look at, I think, at times, and I'm not criticising, I'm not picking holes, because I know a lot of churches and centres are totally reliant on committees and small bands of volunteers, unpaid, to keep the doors open. And God forbid, I would never criticise these people do such a sterling job. But I just think sometimes we just need to look at different ways of how do we communicate. How do we, if you're in an area, how would something for you all at home. How would you like to engage with your local community? How would you like to get that message over of what we do? How would you invite people to come try? I always say here at Paul, and about a lot of the things you do, if you liked it and enjoyed it, brilliant. If it didn't like it or it's not for you, brilliant, because you came in to find out for yourself. We're not going to secure everybody that walks in the door as a permanent member of our church. I love it here. People say, "Oh, I'm so sorry I wasn't here last week." And it's fine. You're here when you need to be. Your religion or your philosophy, however you view spiritualism, has got to be part of your life. And everywhere there's give and take. So family issues or just really, do you know what, I really don't want to go out today. Absolutely fine. Cherry Ann, hello, darling. How are you? Just saying there. Oh, come on. Oh, try again. You're playing up tonight. Ah, 100% agree. Go out to people. Because many are scared of what spiritualism is about. People think we call up the dead. It's up to us to enlighten people. Good comment. Good comment, Jerry Ann. It is a very good comment, that. And, it's ways and means of how we can do that. Lovely Jack from Denmark, bless him. Actually, this real bromance goes on from me. I don't know what he thinks. He probably thinks I'm an idiot, but that's fine. But he said something, and in fact, one of his ideas is going to manifest here at Paul Church on this coming Wednesday about a spiritual cafe night, which is tables, chairs, teas, coffee, sit around and discuss the wider aspect of spirituality. Another thing he said, and I just thought, I love that. And this is something he's done out in Denmark. And if anybody else knows of anywhere else that has done this, please say so, because I think it's an awesome idea. Where they've gone to one of their local coffee shops and held a meeting there. And I don't mean a meeting with a stand-up medium giving messages and addresses, blah, blah, blah. But just that opportunity to sit around and talk about things, because people are interested. And again, this communication thing, sometimes I see it in churches and centres and statements about, people wouldn't be interested in that. How do you know that? How do you know that? How do you know? I was told here when we had the change around after the first lockdown for the Wednesdays, including 2 healing services a month. And I was told quite adamantly, you won't get anybody in. Well, you were wrong. During that time, we got lots of people in. Lots of people had free time. Lots of people are more available because of furlough, etc. And it was really, really busy. Since then, midweek daytime events are getting. I'm telling myself something here, and I've just had to pull myself up. I nearly said getting harder to get people in, because again, I've taken that stance of what I'm offering is right. I've got to make people understand it. In fact, I've looked at it the other way and just gone, well, do you know what? On a Wednesday afternoon, a lot of people are working. A lot of people aren't available. They are more available in the evening. And that's what we've done. We switched over to the evening sessions. So, thank you. That was quite good. Again, on this level of communication, it's just being mindful of our thoughts and what are we saying? Not the wordage, but what are we saying? Yeah, that was very good. Thank you. I couldn't have planned that any better. But yeah, so we've got this wonderful knowledge, this wonderful kit. And of course, we want everybody to be in the spiritualist churches or the centres. It matters not. But it's not going to be for everybody. And people are going to come in with all levels of development. People are going to come in with all levels of expectations or aspirations. I want to be a medium, an evidential medium. And if that doesn't happen in 4 to 6 weeks, well, it's down to the teaching, not to my abilities. Really? Okay. But yeah, it's a fascinating field. And as I say, we are all about communication. So, I mean, now we're coming into the electronic age. And, okay, I'm seeing some things out there that I just think, not sure about that. That's fine. But I'm also seeing things, thank you, yes, coffee shop. Also seeing things out there which are amazing. And as I say, nights like this where we talk and discuss. And we're allowed to have different opinions and we can debate and go away and just think, oh, that was interesting, or yeah, no, it's not for me. Brilliant, brilliant, because you're actually engaging with people. And then when we... Thank you, Marion. Constructive feedback is always useful, even if they didn't like it. Exactly. One of the things I just love in our movement is this thought and action that Spirit are more progressive than us. They're not up to date. They're beyond our date in ways with things, and yet. Time and time again, we go out and we serve churches and centres as working evidential mediums, and it can be quite orthodox in its structure, and it can be quite, I will say it, soulless. Yeah, it can be quite soulless sometimes. Because it's this constant regurgitation, week in, week out. This is how we do it. This is how we've always done it. This is how it works. And we are very much in the age where people are educated. People are inquiring. People have got a wider understanding of things. Another lady I trained under, she was something else. Be in circle working. She'd suddenly come in the door with a Hoover going. She's saying you get all sorts of disruptions in church. Carry on working. But one of the things she said, it always stuck with me. She said, and this is not being demeaning to anybody. She said, the days of the little old lady sat at the back of the church with a shopping trolley are gone. You're getting people coming in with college degrees, university degrees, much wider eclectic understanding of things, and we've got to promote and show our movement as being part of today, speaking to the people of today, not people of 30, 40, 50 years ago. I always think a good address is one that can support people when they walk out of the doors, base it for Paul, walk out of the doors of Paul Church, and just be able to find a bit of strength to exist in that world that's outside of those doors today. And again, it's all about that communication. How do we communicate these things? Julie, lovely Julie. I love your flower shop, love. That was very pretty. Thanks for sharing those pictures. I think the Spiritual Cafe is a wonderful idea. I think it is as well. I think it's a great way to engage, and especially when we've got towns and cities with big university presences. Sadly, I approached the local big one down here to be told that we don't promote any religious beliefs or philosophies within the university grounds, and that's across the board. It doesn't matter if you're spiritualist, Buddhist, C of E, high church, low church, doesn't matter. You just don't get a look in, which is, I think, a bit sad, because I believe that all these further education places are to educate people and give them the opportunity. It's not making it mandatory, just the opportunity, but never mind. But anyway, getting back to the the thought. Yeah, the spiritual cafe, really relaxed environment. Yeah, come in, sit down, have a coffee and a chat. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, great. Absolutely. What is wrong with that? What is wrong with that? So, yes. Hang on, for some reason my mouse is playing up, and I think that's probably because a certain cat keeps laying on the keyboard. So, Sue, lovely Sue, we need to do often means you rather than themselves. Yeah, very true. The phraseology. I love it here at Paul, and people will know me just when they hear this phrase being said, they go, oh God. Do you know what you need to do? Yes, surround myself with people who actually, roll up their sleeves and get stuck in rather than managers. I shouldn't be running a church, I'm horrible. But anyway, the local holistic festival is a good opportunity to go out and meet people, to offer healing and chat about PCSC events, offering opportunities, listen, understand, learn, meet a community of similar interested people in the real world too. Thank you, Sue. Yeah, we need to open our doors and venture out, in my opinion. There are the opportunities there to go out. What's her name? Elaine Fenton, who runs the Holistic Weekend, absolutely lovely lady. And she's over the moon that we were there as a presence, as a church. Not there selling something. We were there saying, hi, we're here, we're part of the community, this is what we do, we'd love to see you. So thank you, Elaine, because the support for that. We have got, good evening, Mr. Cox. Ron will be our guest next week, talking about spiritualism in the USA. I thought you would be busy with your meet gathering today, but hello, Ron, lovely to see you, dear. And, please be work. Why won't you work? This is very, very annoying. Stop it. Bear with me. Oh, don't do this. Right, I've got rid of that. Sorry, mouse problems. Lovely Sherry Ann. 40 plus years ago, I saw an ad in a local paper. If anyone would be interested in the clairvoyant group Home Circle. I didn't know anything about spiritualism or Home Circle. It caught my attention because I saw a friend who had passed away earlier as solid as you, but didn't understand it. So I went along to the medium, showed me the nearest spiritualist church to me, which happened to be in Melksham in Wiltshire, and found out lovely Reverend Ashley Oliver attended. Yeah, you see, this is quite common. This is how people quite often come into our movement, because of an experience, because of a happening, and then seeing an advertisement. But again, how do we advertise ourselves? If you come down to Paul Church, and I'm not blowing my own trumpet, you know me, I just do it. You come down to Paul Church and there's blackboards, one out the front, one out the side, saying we have a divine service every Sunday morning, the guest demonstrator's name on there, and underneath it says divine service consists of philosophy, healing, evidential mediumship, and lasts about an hour. Because when you see a sign up to saying we're doing a divine service, if you have no knowledge, no understanding, you're just going to think, yeah, that doesn't sound like fun. I don't think that's for me. But if you give people that information, And again, with that communication, it's been quite nice here because I've had a couple of times talking to new people and saying, how did you hear of us? Because that's always a really good question. If you're involved in the running of a church or a centre, just to say that, when you're talking to them, say, oh, how did you hear about us? Because it just bolsters thoughts. And I've had a few people say, oh, I saw the sign outside. And I think, great, it's worth doing. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So, Jerry Ann, Lawrence, how would coffee shop work? Agreement with the owner of the shop, or am I missing the point? No, you're not missing the point. You would approach a local coffee shop, introduce yourself, all the niceties, and just say, I would like to do a little meeting here, because normally you find coffee shops normally have got areas, haven't they? They've got areas. And just say, if we could have that area, I don't know how many people are going to turn up. Don't do it in a peak time, or right in the middle of the lunch hour or something like that. But do it at a time suitable with the business, because the business will get the kickback from people coming in buying a tea and coffee. And then the support for whoever's taking that is to be able to sit and just talk. What great way to chat over a cup of coffee. I think that's a brilliant way to do it. And just chat with people, because we need to more reach out and inspire people, inspire them to find out more. We can't drag them kicking and screaming into the judge. I've tried that, and the judge said I'm not allowed to do anymore, so I won't do that again. Joking. But we can't drag people in. We can't really afford to sit on our laurels either. And wait for these people to come into our church. We are seeing, I've noticed today, there was one of the big London churches advertised that they are not doing any more divine services until later in the year. How sad is that? That must be heartbreaking for the committee, but then, it's finding that inspiration and we are seeing falling attendances, and the reasons behind that, in my opinion, are that we are not engaging with people. Took some friends to a church service on one of the rare occasions where I could get out and go to a church service and I didn't have to do anything, which was how wonderful was that. And not being hypercritical and no axe to grind, it was a pretty desultory evening. It was just sort of like walk in, hello, sit down, get spoken at, not with. And the evening was over. And I thought, I haven't got much upliftment out of tonight. And again, I'm not saying that being critical in any negative way. I just didn't feel it. I didn't feel the love, the joy, or anything. And again, on the communication side, is there opportunity there to bring that communication and engagement with our congregations into our services? I believe there is. I've done it a few times, giving addresses not only here at Paul, but outside other churches and centres, of shortening the address slightly and just saying, handing the floor over to people and saying, have you got any questions about spiritualism? Ask people, invite them. And do you know what? People join in. People like that, because I think in this day and age, after the last 3 years, to be involved and acknowledged and to actively participate in something is great value to people. It makes you go out, oh my God, that question has been bugging me for years, or I'm not sure about his answer. I'm going to ask somebody else. And that's fine. That's great. This is how we grow and evolve. So, yeah, Carrie Ann, approach a local coffee shop. It's getting the advertising out there as well. So it's sort of like, it's looking at what is going to be, sometimes we've got to be quite commercial about things because we are running a business, and it's got to be run on a business ethos at times. So looking at what is going to be your target audience. So how do we reach our target audience? Social media, brilliant. Facebook, Instagram, great. I use a website next door, which is very handy because that is people in your very local community. That is people literally next door to you. That's a very useful form of advertising. I know a medium who is, I call him Flyboy because he goes out and he puts flyers out everywhere. And I think that's great. It's not for me. I don't do that. But they go around their local town, and especially on a weekend day when the market's on, and handing out flyers. I've become a bit immune to bits of paper being thrust at me, so I'm probably judging it on that energy, and that's wrong of me. But it's just, identifying what is going to be the potential for the uptake there, and then going for that, not just sitting back and waiting for it to happen. Lovely Phil Maltiboy. Education, creating interest in the subject, moving away from formula spiritualism, introducing new ideas, diversity, music, participation, more interactive spiritualist teaching. The possibilities are endless. Phil, yeah. And I know that you work at this. I've seen, and Yanis is in the room, I believe, tonight as well, that the work you've done together on your afternoons of philosophy, and correct me if I'm wrong, up there in Hitchin, been great, because I know that if I were to attend one, that I wouldn't be sat there in a dull, dry, sterile lecture. I would be part of a group talking about things and discussing it and engaging. And the education side, really important. Because I know I've mentioned this before, I'm not sure if on here. Anyway, as a working medium, I found one night my address was going on and revolving around circles, and I was talking about some of the greats of the past. The names like Gordon Higginson came to mind, and a few others have just gone right out of my mind at this time. And it just suddenly became very evident. When I asked the question, have you heard of these names? Nobody had. Not a soul. And I'm just like, wow, okay. And I repeated that experiment at another church, and no wonder my bookings are going down. Never mind. I repeated that at another church and centre, and again, zero response. And I just thought, wow. I'm not saying we've got to thrust information down on people, but we certainly make it available. We do a service here at Poole, and that's a Lyceum service, where instead of the philosophy part, the address, we would hear something about a person or an establishment or an organization with their roots in spiritualism. And people really enjoy that because, it engages. We can't have people sat there just, nothing to interact with, nothing to sort of like stir the soul. And this is what we should be doing. We're all about the spirit outside and the spirit within, and this communication. So there's lots of things there. Introducing new ideas, brilliant, Phil, because again, sometimes the energy you meet when you talk about new ideas are either, well, we've always done it this way. That's absolutely fine. Brilliant. Or, oh no, they won't like it. Now, that is the statement sometimes I need to remember my place and smile sweetly. Because always my answer to that, if asked for my opinion, is, well, have you asked then? And why don't you try things? You know what? I'm a great one. I love trying things, Paul. I'm sure some of the congregation go, oh, God, what's he doing now? But trying things, because we seem to get a little bit nervous or scared even about trying new things. And you know what? If you try something and it doesn't work, that's fine. Absolutely fine. In my book, either go back to the place where it stopped working or go, well, okay, we've tried that. The response isn't there. Brilliant. We'll try something else. We're going through a phase here, the new Wednesdays, switching it from the afternoon to the evenings. I've said that we will do that for 3 months and just gauge a response to it. So we have the introduction of the awareness nights, talking about spiritualism. We have a demonstration of evidential mediumship night. We have an open circle night. We also have the spiritual cafe. The first one will be this Thursday night. And, you know, run it for 3 months. And if they are successful and they're supported and they serve a need, great. And if they're not, that's fine. Try something else. Yeah. I don't get what the fear is. I really don't. I just don't get the fear. All right, there's been times I'm thinking, okay, let's see what happens. But I wouldn't stop anything for fear. I would stop things because they were not part or commiserate with the ethos and the philosophy of the church. That's fine. I'm not saying, you know, throw your bag in and do whatever. But your fundamentals is, you know, what is your church or centre all about, and then build from there, because that is the intent. That's a keystone, cornerstone. But we can introduce new ideas. Music, again, lovely. People who have been to Paul or seen Paul online all knows last Sunday's choice of music. I was thinking, I'm a little bit hesitant about this, but I know I've got to play it. And it was Let Your Light Shine, this little light of mine, that's the one. But it was a really modern arrangement. And it couldn't have been better to go with the address, which is unknown to me at the time. And people quite liked it, yeah. So, yeah, try music. Try different types of music. But yeah, Phil, I know you're an extremely good educator, and you're saying all the right things. So more power to your elbow, mate, because these are the energies we need to bring into our movement, especially, you know, in our churches and centres, physical, and also with our online presences, our online presentations, and how we approach things. So, it's on the 4th. Beg your pardon, Ron. You've got a service later tonight. Oh, you're with me on the 4th. You're with us on the 4th. All right, I haven't got my diary up on the screen. Don't test me. We're looking forward, whenever it is, Ron, to talking to you. Have a wonderful, wonderful service tonight over there, sir. But yeah, the approach sometimes on our online, you know, this Pandora's box has been opened up now, and it's never going to shut. Simple as that. It won't be taken away unless they unplug the internet. So how are we presenting ourselves out there? I'm seeing a lot of transference of this is the format we use for our service, so this is the format we are going to present online. And I just think, why are you doing that? I was invited to do an evening of evidential mediumship, and it was 2 hours long. And I said, why is it 2 hours? Because that's what our people want. And I'm like, thank you very much for the invitation. I'm afraid I'm going to have to decline you, because, number one, doing evidential mediumship with nothing else to support it for 2 hours is not for me. It may be for other people, that's great. But I'm just sort of like, I can't quite see the purpose of that. But never mind, that's my own thoughts. But we have got wonderful people out there. I know Jack and Lola tonight are working with a group online, and I've seen their services, and they really go for it. And all the power to their elbow. The music's really uplifting. The format brings in the philosophy, brings in the healing, brings in the evidential mediumship, and presents it, really, really, really well, really well. So, again, there is so much potential out there, and just look at and constantly review what we're doing, constantly review where we are, why are we doing this. I used to have a chap when I was in charge of the materials department on a big railway depot. Trains have big boxes of sand on them for slippery railheads. I'm not going to go into the details, that's all you need to know. So this sand used to come in on pallets, and we're talking about 15, 20 pallets of 25 kilo bags of sand. Massive. When they used to come in, big delivery. One of my team, bless him, every time this delivery came in, he used to take it to a certain spot on the maintenance depot. And I'll go out and say, why have you put it there? Because that's where it always goes. But they've changed the procedures. Doing the sand now is done when the trains come into the depot as part of the detanking and watering procedure. They now also fill the sand, which is like a quarter of a mile down the road. It's just to highlight, sometimes we just get ourselves, well, that's what we're doing. I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to get that challenged. Because that's what we do. And I see that energy sometimes in our churches and centres and our online things already. From the newness of it all, already people are becoming quite entrenched in, well, that's what we do. And it's sort of like, well, the online thing should be daily, looking at what you do and why you do it. Keith. Oh, don't start me off, Keith. I haven't looked at this comment before I put it up there. Spiritualism and entertainment have become closely linked. This is why fairs and events are so popular. Churches are increasingly holding them to get people through the door. They're also good fundraisers, especially if benevolent mediums offer their services for free. When I was at uni, I conducted tarot demos in the student union. There was a paranormal society which had links to departments like psychology. The fascination was huge. Yeah, lots in that. Break that down a bit, working from the bottom up. Brilliant about the uni experience. Absolutely. And you know what? You've just sown a seed there in my thinking of maybe approaching the unis under a different light to see if they have a paranormal society. So yeah, thank you for that. I get it with the fundraisers. I do get it. As I said, I'm not decrying them. It's just not for me. We have lots of things in our movement. Some things really resonate with me and some things don't. I'm not saying they're wrong by any means. They just don't appeal to me. Simple as that. But yeah, I do get it with fundraisers. And then going up to the top there, spiritualism and entertainment have become closely linked. Right. Pull up your chairs, boys and girls. This is going to be a long talk. Why is that? Why is that? I am seeing more and more advertising pre and post events of, oh, they're always so funny, they make you laugh, talking about the demonstrators. And I think, okay, that's a sideline. I've got a fairly good sense of humour. Not everybody's taste, I get that. I don't offend. If people take offence, that's down to you. And when I'm working with the spirit, that humour comes through because we all work in a mental mediumship. So that means it's through the mind. And if the mind is littered with humour energies, of course, the connection, the communication will pick up the traits of the medium. So I get that. I am not saying it's got to be deadpan. I'm not saying it's got to be soulless. Humour, you know what? When I sit with spirit on my own, I'm sitting there giggling away. If anybody tape recorded me up here, I'd be carted off by men in white jackets. Seriously would. So I get the humour, but I am seeing this emphasis on being entertaining, which I feel a little bit sad about. You know, we've got some wonderful speakers here who just really deliver the goods. They really do. We've got a wonderful local medium who's really been working on their mediumship a lot. And their last service here, I said to them, it's so good to see what you're doing. You stopped writing everything out. You're trusting more with spirit. You're delivering that. You've got great information to share. I said, but sadly, you're not going to be popular. And they looked at me and went, why? And I said, because unfortunately, a lot of people are looking for people who are going to get up there and be entertaining. And this person's delivery is not deadpan or boring, but it's just straightforward, concise, lots of information, lots of evidence. Nice way of talking. And actually said, thank you for saying that, because I was wondering why I wasn't getting rebooked at some places. And I thought, yeah, I'm seeing this. I am seeing this. There is no reason why a service cannot be entertaining as a side effect of the purpose of the service. But if you're just going to get up there and just going to pan out the jokes to make people laugh, well, then maybe your local comedy club may be a better venue. I make no apologies for that. So thank you, Keith. Oh, I love this when this happens. Sherry Ann, wonderful. I'm out to lunch tomorrow. You give me inspiration and courage to ask the bar, coffee, restaurant. And do you know what, love? Well done. Absolutely well done. Just ask. If the answer's no, that's fine. That's fine, you know, because we do things, we forget things are energy exchanges. We give something an energy. What the other person does with it actually is none of our business. But I'm going to send out thoughts that, do you know what? Do you know what? Now, I don't do this on a live, but do you know what? I think you're going to be very happy with the response from that establishment, because there is an interest there already. Let us know. Or let us know. And Sherry Ann, brilliant. I think I have quite a bit of knowledge to share and help those coming up the ladder. You do, my darling. I see you engage. You engage on our site. You engage on other site. I know you've got that underpinning education and information to share, and the route to delivery as well, because of your personality and your approach with people is very amiable. You know, so do you know what? You have the potential there to be quietly successful, is a nice phraseology. Nice phraseology. Phil Shaw just saying, yeah, Nextdoor, very useful app. And it is a very useful app. A lot of people have responded to that. People who come PCSC are always assured of a friendly welcome in a relaxed, inclusive environment with the chance to have a natter before the divine service, etc. Yeah, and that is a big part of it, is welcoming people in. I'm making much more of an effort now to leg it off of the platform afterwards, say goodbye to people, especially where we've had, and we are getting a lot of new people coming in, investigating and talking with these people. Did you enjoy that? Was that all right for you? Did that work for you? You know, and yes or no, absolutely fine. But have that opportunity, not just go. Leave my church. Brilliant. Julie Caswell, I must admit I use the flower shop I work in as the sort of pulpit. Well, do you know what? Spirit give us these opportunities for these communications. You know, the number of times that I've been talking with people and Spirit have made their presence known, not for a message, but they're there. And that's my sign to go, have you ever looked into, you ever seen a medium or anything? Oh yeah, I have, you know, and you just think, yeah, thank you. Okay. So it is taking these opportunities. A sort of pulpit. Oh great, I'll just see Julie up there now on the counter. And today's flowers are good on you, Julie. Good on you, love. Oh, Trudane. Even those further afield, Sue, PCSC have welcomed me with open arms. To be honest, thank God for Zoom. I have nothing here in France. So that's very nice of you to say, Sharon. And yeah, we have this marvelous new to most of us, way of communicating our beliefs, our philosophies, our understandings, not only communicating, but demonstrating them as well when it's suited. So, yeah, I think the future is quite bright because also with this way of coming online, it's opened our, what's the word I'm looking for? It's opened our minds to the potential for things. You know, I gave a talk a little while back in the church about circles and things, and saying that spiritualism, when it first burst onto the scene in the UK, it was on the tail end of the Industrial Revolution. Well, at that time, people's minds were sort of like unshackled. They weren't in a furrow, because in their lifetime, they had seen great strides. They'd seen massive factories open, a railway going here, there, and everywhere, electric lighting or gas lighting coming in where it wasn't before, running water, so, you know, all sorts of things because of the industrial age. So to me, it makes sense with spiritualism really took a hold there because people weren't conditioned that this is the world, this is how you live, and this is how it works. Suddenly their world was opened up. And with that mentality, this new kid on the block of spiritualism really took a foothold because people were going, wow, yeah, I can get on board with this. Today's world, we have a similar energy going on with the electronic spiritualism. I'm going to keep it to spiritualism because that's what tonight's about. And it affects various other factors. But suddenly, yeah, wow, you know, wow, look at Paul. And again, no statistical, look at the speakers we've had here because of this communication that we have engaged with. We got Jack and Lola from Denmark, Frederick, lovely Frederick from Sweden, Tim Abbott. Apologies. Oh, Yanis, who's in the room tonight. Yeah, because we could suddenly see people and engage more with them. And it's just sort of like, wow, it's really opened up the floodgates here because our mind isn't in that precept of, well, this is what we always do and this is how we do it. Hello. It's all right. It's not a manifestation, it's a pussification. Thank you. So, yeah. It's we've got this huge potential available to us. And it's not just of the moment. We've got really short memories, haven't we? This is not just of the now. This is the future coming up. So there's huge potentials. Jackie Elliott. What are we saying here? Phil and I started up a group 12 years ago, as we didn't know any psychic people and we were very interested in finding out more. Didn't know where churches or events were, so we called the group Psychic Pals. It's been so successful. We all meet up around the country and spread the word about events. We keep a strict code on Facebook and don't let disruptive people in. We visit each other in each other's churches. Wonderful, Jackie, wonderful. And yeah, why not have a code of conduct with your group or your page? You know, sometimes we see disruption going on in our church and centres physical because people don't want to tackle the issue, which is sad because, yeah, we've got to have that mutual respect. And if people are behaving disrespectfully towards each other, that's fine. Off you go. It's not being nasty. It's not being elitist. This is how we do it. This is what we're working to. And you come in under those rules. And if you don't like those rules, great. Absolutely great. But well done to you, Jackie. Well done to you. Where are we? Ooh, Sutton Townsend. Quantum physics and understanding mediumship. Don't say the R word. Reincarnation, physical mediumship. May be of interest to some discussion groups at universities. Most definitely. Most definitely. What's his name? Dr. Cal Cooper, that I'm quietly stalking. If you're watching, Cal, don't panic. I'm not going to wake up in your bin or something. But I think he's absolutely fascinating. He's a head of psychology or parapsychology at a university, and I would love to have him down here to give a talk. Absolutely love to have him down and give us the benefit of his knowledge and whatever. So, yeah. Yes, and we've got to engage more with the sciences and not be afraid of them. Lovely Marion, there isn't a problem with appropriate humour as long as it still reverence what we do. Couldn't agree more, Marion. Couldn't agree more. If the humour is part of the communication, great. If the communication is to support your humour, then maybe we want to have a little look at that. Neil Payne, good evening, Lawrence. Looking forward to seeing you next week. Sadly, not Neil. I've had to withdraw from next week's events through personal issues. So, sorry, we were denied meeting up, but it will happen one day. And oh, hello, Charlie. Hi, Lawrence. It's Charlie. Recently been attending healing and online Sunday services and really appreciate your kindness and energy. Thanks so much as finding home life hard and peace at church. Brilliant. Thank you, Charlie. And it's a pleasure to see you, my darling. Absolute pleasure. And again, Charlie couldn't have put that in better, and I promise you, I haven't set that up or paid her any money. But that just goes to support with what you can achieve with your church and centres. You know, if you approach and engage with people and be supportive, and sometimes have to know when to step back a bit, or redirect or signpost to someone or another organisation that have the knowledge base and experience, but that, you know, that's all part and parcel. The church or a centre is a living organism, but the fundamental is that communication. It is about listening to people, and I don't mean sometimes what they're saying, because quite often people will say a string of words to me, but I'm going, actually, yeah, I'm getting more of a drift here of what's going on. It's the hidden subtext sometimes that reveals so much more and puts you in that position to be able to be a friend to them. So thank you, Charlie. That's lovely, darling. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Lovely Jen. Jen, I'm loving your post. And Ian's sense of humour, I'm sorry, is over 18s only. Linking with the sciences is fine as long as they don't treat spiritualism as a joke and treats it with respect. Couldn't agree more, but we've had some fascinating insights with the sciences. Jamie Aylward There's a gentleman from Exeter did one of our Lyceum nights probably about a year ago now, and talking about near-death experiences. And he was putting slideshows up, which is, I've got to get on board with that. When you work with the spiritists, they're full of slideshows. I'm going to have to start doing slideshows. But anyway, he put a very interesting slideshow up, and he'd done a search in the Lancet, the medical journal, and the search term was spirituality. And he did it for a year, going back over 10 years. So he had 10 different results. So just say it was like 2000, 2001, 2002. You get the drift. And he did the graph of the number of returns of searches containing the word spirituality. And it was really interesting to see, because it started off like there at the beginning, and then the graph just went like that. Now, how interesting is that? I found that fascinating. My own recent, not testing, but engagement with an ongoing study where I spent very uncomfortable couple of hours in an MRI scanner. There is I admire the people on that investigation, because they were totally neutral. There was no energy for or against. It just kept it a level playing field. And I thought, I get that. That's what you got to do. I do get that. That's really good. So yeah. But the sciences with spiritualism, you go back to, again, the earlier days. The Arthur Findlay College is for spiritualism and the psychic sciences. I do understand now I don't know if it's in operation at the moment, but I do understand that they did have a laboratory in the college for visiting scientists to work with. I do see also with some of the courses, not only with the union, but with other organisations where sciences are being talked about. So, yeah, I think there is, the science community are looking for this elusive fifth element of things, and they are looking towards spiritualism and spirituality as the basis for that. But we've got to, in turn, be able to communicate with them on a conversational level where we can actually hold our own in that conversation, and try and glean from them what they're looking for, what they're trying to understand, and give them a hypothesis that they can relate to and understand or go away and work with. So, yeah. And equally, like everything, double-edged sword, linking with science is fine as long as they don't treat spiritualism as a joke. I got involved in this ongoing study because Dr. Emily had put a post out a few years ago asking for people to take part in a study, and the amount of negative comments was phenomenal. It was hideous. It was all these people, you're already trying to disprove us, you won't give us a fair... I'm really going for it, but I went, no, that's not right. So I sent that post on to quite a few people, and Dr. Emily was ever so grateful and said, you really helped out there. So yeah, linking with the sciences is fine as long as each side respects the other. It's probably a nicer way of putting that. Anyway, I was thinking I'm not going to get an hour's talk, and now I can't shut myself up. I hope I've given you some thoughts, and thank you so much for everybody's interaction here. Wonderful, absolutely wonderful, because it is about communication. It is about, listening to ourselves sometimes, actually thinking, what am I saying? What am I saying when I put a statement out like that? What am I portraying? How have I answered that person? Have I really listened to what they're saying? So yeah, and communication. So communication isn't, limited to the evidential mediumship or the philosophical mediumship. The communication starts with us. This is where we just review. I'm not saying pick holes, that's a negative thing. Just review what we're saying, what we understand, what we glean, what we're saying, not only to other people, but more importantly, to ourselves. How many times do I hear that, oh, I can't do that? Well, you've just told yourself you can't, so surprise, you can't. That's not for me at this time. That's a much better way of handling something. Well, I'm struggling with that, but I'm working on it. Totally different energy. But if I sit there saying, I can't do that, I can't meditate, well, guess what? You're not going to be able to meditate, are you? So, yeah, what are we saying? What are we saying when we communicate with ourselves? Just be mindful of that. Just don't be afraid to go, oh, okay. Anyway, thank you, everybody. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Thank you, not my cat, for behaving himself. What have we got coming up? We have tomorrow our live stream service available to view only at home. And that's with the lovely Carla Hain. So that's 11 o'clock GMT on our Facebook and our YouTube channel. We will also be streaming our first spiritual cafe night on Thursday. No, on Wednesday. Sorry, I'm also logging into the diary here, so forgive me if I look a little bit confused and befuddled. That'll be streamed live at 7 o'clock on Wednesday. We've got a lovely local medium, Roy McKay, and we'll just be talking about spirituality in general, trying to get an idea of what, because we use, again, communication. We use all these phrases, don't we, about spirituality and spiritual, but we don't actually sort of like sometimes grasp really what is that about. What are we talking about? So yeah, that'll be fun and also interactive. So if you're watching at home and want to post questions, it will be monitored from the platform. And yeah, bring your questions for the lovely Roy. Next Saturday, I was mistaken. It is not Ron. Ron is on the 4th of March. So next Saturday was going to be a live from somewhere, but again, plans have changed. So we will have somebody wonderful. But anyway, 4th of March, we've got Ron Cox from Florida. 18th of March, got Elizabeth Titterton from Scotland talking with us. So we're going to have lots of different people coming in for our Lyceum nights. Anyway, enough waffling. Stop waffling, Laurie. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here tonight. And thank you too to those people who will watch this later on catch up or whatever. I hope it's just made you think. Maybe have a little ponder on things, because that's good to talk. Good night, everybody. Take care. Lots of love.